Hello, this is Debbie, and this is Light Up Your Worth. I am so excited today for today's guest, Andrea Blindt. And I can't wait for you to meet her. She is a registered nurse, a holistic health practitioner, a four-time international best-selling author, an inspirational speaker, and a life and mindset coach who empowers others through their own healing journey. She guides her clients as they navigate health challenges, traumatic life events, and experiences of loss. She supports them in strengthening their body, mind, and heart while redefining possibilities. This allows clients to reclaim their power, advocate for what is in their best interests, and learn the tools needed to make decisions that are in alignment with their beliefs, regardless of the obstacles they are facing. She also believes that no diagnosis is too final, past too messy, or future too uncertain to fully live a life you love today. And she reminds her clients of that. Oh, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am too. I am, in reading through and our chat before, we were recording and just getting to know you, I was really, I know you went through a really big obstacles and overcoming some medical diagnosis. And I'm really curious to learn more about how you worked your way through that and all of the emotions and all of the whole journey that you went through. So I would love for you to share that with us.
Thank you for opening with that. I'd love to give a little backstory with it because it will explain a lot of the emotions that I experienced as I received some of those diagnoses. So, when I was younger, I grew up in a home where I was not wanted. I was a surprise pregnancy, and my parents didn't really want to keep the pregnancy, but they decided that if I was a boy, they would allow me to stay. Well, I ended up being a girl, which didn't really make it safe for me to remain in that house. So initially, there was that energy in me of not really being wanted or enough. And as children, we don't always know that the outside world isn't turbulent because of us. So I took
Mm.
that blame on myself and carried it with me, not knowingly, as I went on in life. As I continued to live, I grew up in a very abusive home, which just reaffirmed my unworthiness and my inability to be loved. And it just layered on all of the shame and guilt that I kept growing with. So as I got married and was very excited to become a mom of my own one day, I'd experienced miscarriages, and my doctor said, you're probably going to need IVF. Your body just isn't strong enough to create a baby on its own. And so immediately there was that shame that came in of, man, this is something that pretty much any woman can do, that teenagers can do, and that people do sometimes when they don't even know they're doing it, is creating life. But I can't do it even intentionally trying to do it. And so there was a lot of shame and hatred for my body for not working the way that other people's worked, for not, I felt, well, why can't I get pregnant? If other people can get pregnant, why can't I? What's so wrong with me? What did I do to deserve not being able to become a mom? And I carried that, and I carried the fear that maybe my husband wouldn't want to be married to me if I couldn't have children with him. So we continued going through fertility treatments. We did insemination and IVF, and I got pregnant with twins. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. I started to get some hope, felt very excited. And then I ended up in the hospital with a high risk pregnancy, preterm labor. And eventually, around 26 weeks, a rookie doctor came in and delivered me. She thought I was 36 weeks pregnant. I was 26 weeks. I was having preterm labor. And instead of slowing down the contractions or trying to stop them, she just said, no, we're going right now. And again, at the time, my voice wasn't strong. I wasn't a great advocate for myself. I didn't want to stir the pot or have anybody be mad at me. And so my babies were born, they were beautiful, and they died 5 days later. And when that happened, again, that shame and that guilt and that hatred towards myself and my body for failing me and them really reared back up. And it was something that brought me to my knees and locked me in the darkness. And I really had to claw my way out of that deep, dark depression in order to create the life that I have now. And it took a lot of mind work, really becoming aware of the thoughts that I was thinking, how dark and how cruel they were, how the words that my brain allowed me to say and think about myself were words that I would never say to another human, regardless of who they were or how they treated me. And I thought, oh my gosh, those are the words that my brain friend is giving me all day. And of course, I feel like garbage because that's the truth that lives within my head. And so I slowly started changing those words, stopping them. I just told them stop because I had to outwardly say it to make it stop initially. And I would say, stop. That is not true. And then I would prove it wrong. And I would say, no, my body isn't broken. You know why? Because I just went to the bathroom in the toilet and my bladder held that pee until I got there. So boom, my body does that. And it was constantly seeing what my body could do. My body can use my fingers to type on my keyboard. I can pick up my cup and bring it to my mouth and my throat swallows. Every single day, I looked for every little sign of proof that my body worked and that it was not broken. And the more I saw and the more I proved to my brain just how great it was, the more healing that happened within. And eventually I was able to become pregnant naturally with boy-girl twins again, which was wild. And I carried that pregnancy, still high risk, but I carried it to 31 weeks. And my body did that. And every day I'm so grateful for the gift of life, the gifts of life that it's given me, and just overcoming those really big obstacles and limiting beliefs that doctors told me was possible or wasn't possible for myself and my life.
Wow, what a journey. What a
Yes.
journey. That is, that's really remarkable. Shame is such a powerful, like it's one of the shame and guilt, right? The two lowest vibrating energies that we have. And they just
Yes.
engulf us of, what if somebody knew this about me that, you know, working through all that subconscious, from the moment that you were born,
Yes.
building up into your body and being able to figure out what were those traumas. Those are some big traumas.
Yes. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I always I tell people because healing isn't one direction. So as we heal, we're more equipped to overcome challenges when we face them in the future, but it doesn't mean, oh, I'm healing, I've learned better coping skills, that you're never going to face a challenge again. It's actually, to me, every challenge I face is a reaffirmation and a retest of how am I going to choose to show up today with this new knowledge, this new wisdom in my brain, and respond in a really horrible, awful situation. And so the world continued to be the world, and I continued to experience very traumatic situations in my life with my children that I have now, and also with myself. And I just had the opportunity to really dig deep and put all of those tools that I'd learned to test and really applaud myself for coming out of them, because so many of these situations that we face in life, we feel like we can't get through them. Something hard happens and we think, man, I could never live through the loss of a child. And then you realize 5 years have passed and you're still alive and you've done it. And so that is what I've really done. Every single obstacle that I didn't think I could live through, that I didn't think I could pull myself out of the darkness through, I've been able to stand up and find the strength to move on in a way that honors me and those around me. And I'm very proud of myself for that.
Yeah, that is remarkable. We do hard things, right? Glennon Doyle, right? We do
Yeah.
hard things. You can do hard things. And I agree. I think as we go through the seasons of our life and we've added some really beautiful tools of learning how to work through, it doesn't mean life's all of a sudden, all unicorns and butterflies. We would like that. There's moments of it, but I think it really prepares us on how we're going to walk through those challenges.
Yes.
What are we
And
going to learn and
yes.
apply?
Yes. And reflect it to others. Because in every season, people are watching and people are learning how to respond and how to navigate by how others around them respond or overcome these big events that are designed to stop them in their tracks. So
Mhm.
when we can rise up and really shine into the world that hope of a possibility of joy and life still in the aftermath of these challenges, whether it's losing a job, going through a divorce, losing a loved one, all of those are very challenging things for people and they have ripples that wave into the world. But if we can move through them and hold on to who we are and keep moving forward, we show others that they also can move forward.
Yes. And if people haven't discovered who they are, you have so many opportunities to really get who you are.
Yes,
I think it really reflects back at who you can be and how much resistance we really have built in with us.
right. Yeah, and on the topic of shame, if you overcome something and then you have that little voice in the back of your head that's always there ready to tell you what you did wrong, you can just say, "Hey, yeah, I did do that, and I probably wouldn't do that again in the future. Thanks for letting me know." And then do better next time. We don't have to dwell on what we did before. You can literally recreate yourself today and respond differently in an hour and respond in the way that you want to in a more empowering way.
Yes, because we always have choices.
Yes.
We always have the choice. And one of the I don't know, I struggle with the actual word, so I call it the Hawaiian prayer.
Mm.
Did you ever use
Mhm.
that? I use it a
Yes.
lot when I've had moments of shame. The I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I
Mhm.
have it as a sticker here on my
Mm.
desktop because if I run across something that I'm like, "Oh, I had forgotten about that," you hear something and it triggers some
Yeah.
moment and just allowing myself to feel the feels
Mhm.
of,
Absolutely.
yeah, that was, because shame is such a powerful, powerful thing. And I think when we look at, the type of diagnosis that you've overcome with your resilience, there's a lot of work out there, a lot in our spiritual communities about when we get diagnosis with the specific areas of what they're bringing in. And it really gives us a lot of opportunities. Did you happen to go down that path in your own look at, the blame or the judgment with your diagnosis and the shame?
So, in the middle of my diagnosis, I was not aware of that at that time. I wasn't aware of limiting beliefs. of the law of attraction, of energy, anything. And so at the time, there was just a lot of hatred in my body from my entire childhood and then impounded then. And it really took, after my twins died, going to therapy. And again, not getting that breakthrough, just feeling horrible all the time. But this little seed inside of me saying, it can't be like this for the rest of your life. It's got to get better. And so that's what pushed me forward. I kept searching for better. And I just remember sticking my toe into so many different modalities and thinking, okay, I'll know which one's going to work for me because it's going to stick and it's going to feel big. But some of them I did, and I didn't have an immediate feel of, whoa, that worked so good. Or I would do a modality and I'd have an amazing result. I did EMDR and I thought that was amazing. But then later in life, I did EMDR again and I didn't receive the same breakthrough. And I almost became discouraged thinking, oh my gosh, here I go again. I thought I found something that was going to work, but it didn't. And so it was a gift that I didn't receive the instant breakthroughs in them because it led me down the path of so many alternative healing modalities that I would not have known otherwise. And I, through healing myself and my youngest son, I was able to learn hypnotherapy, homeopathy, traditional Chinese medicine. We do emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, really great for the meridians and just releasing that pent up energy in the body. We do so many different things in our home. And as I started integrating them into my own life, I began doing courses to become certified in them. That way I could continue helping our son and helping myself. And now I have the opportunity to provide my clients with it, which is such a gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it is. I think you bring up a really important um, aspect, and I want to touch on back on it is that, a lot of, well, every healer I know, people who are helping, whether it's through coaching or holistics or, our energetic healings, is that they practice more than one. And you brought up a really important thing about where, EMDR worked and it had its season. And then we bring in different tools because I think it kind of gives us like, it's like standing in a circle and then you move 5 feet over or 5 inches over, and all of a sudden you have a different perspective. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the healing arts is that each of them have like different strengths. They all work differently. They all work together
Yeah.
and continually growing. And now all of a sudden something else can show up and you're like, oh, well, let's try, you're trying these different things like, homeopathic,
Mhm.
what are the strengths in homeopathic? So, or maybe I should step back and even ask for those who don't know what it is. Let's just start with what is homeopathic for
Yeah.
those who
So,
are unfamiliar with it.
right. That's such a great question. Homeopathic medicine is extremely ancient. It's back to our roots. And what it is it's energy medicine. So if you have a cold, you could use some of your own saliva or your mucus from your nose. They use different parts to create it. And there's very different substances that we can create homeopathy from. But we can use some of your spit and mix it with water, glycerin, alcohol, and we succuss it. So that means we shake it, pound it, and that helps with the energetic imprint. And it basically mixes around into the bottle, and we would give it to somebody as a remedy. Now, there are people who do this in labs, big companies, and they make it in different ways. We have tinctures that are little bottles of liquid that you can take. And then there's the sugar pellets, which a lot of people are familiar with. They look like little chapstick tubes. If you go to a health food store, and they're little white pellets that you put in your mouth and they just dissolve in your mouth and they give you that frequency of whatever disease or bacteria emotion you're targeting, and it combines with it and neutralizes it in the body. So homeopathy, the theory is like cures like. So if you had a runny nose, we would give you something that would cause a runny nose, and it actually stops the runny nose.
Oh, it's almost like a positive and a negative, or two negatives coming together to create positive in math.
Yes, it's amazing that just the different things. And there's homeopathy for everything. They have homeopathic immunizations even, where they administer them in different countries that don't have access to vaccinations. And so they will create these homeopathic pellets and they administer those to the kids, and they show amazing immune responses to support their immune system. And it's truly amazing when you see it work in life. So I carry my little homeopathy everywhere we go. I have a first aid kit. If somebody falls down, I treat them immediately for the shock of falling, because when something happens, there's an injury, it's very scary. And so once you treat that fear, everything else goes down a little bit because it's more neutralized. And then you can see what symptoms are left to treat. And homeopathy is very specific. So you do a very detailed case history of the person, and every remedy is incredibly specific to that person. Down to, do you like iced water or warm water? Do you like to talk to people, or do you prefer to be quiet? Do you like the rain? Do you not like the rain? Because each remedy changes based on different questions. And so that's how we truly give a customized treatment to somebody.
Well, that's really, I hadn't really thought about that when you were talking about like when somebody falls and you treat them for the shock of the fall. The moment you said that, as an intuitive, I had a memory just pop into my brain, a very random thing in 7th grade. I was walking and I think it was sprinkling, and I
Mhm.
slipped, and so this is 70s. So I was wearing like these pinkish color ditto pants that I was like in love with, like a peachy, and I slipped
Mm.
and fell. And do you know, to this day, when I walk, when it's a little damp, I walk like I'm an elephant with my feet, like you are not going to fall. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. I hadn't even thought about like the shock of it, right? I'm in 7th grade, right? You're in middle school and I'm covered in mud. I had to go to
Mm.
the office, call my mom who was working to come pick me up.
Right.
And I can't even tell you, did she pick me up? Did she just bring me clothes? That I was traumatized.
Of
Like
course.
I did not like I don't even know what happened the rest of the day, honestly. I'll have to ask my mom. Do you remember that time?
Yeah.
Mom, you're listening to the podcast. What happened that day, right?
Yes.
The shock and the
Yes.
trauma of it. So
Mhm.
that's a really interesting way to cure. and and does that help prevent that trauma from going and coming into our bodies?
It releases it. So that trauma is already there. If it hasn't been
Mhm.
released, it's living somewhere,
Oh,
building up, because trauma and emotions that we don't release, they cause organs and other body systems to weep eventually. And so you can treat it now. What I always tell people to do, you just had that memory,
mhm.
perfect. You could get aconite, you can get a remedy for shock. Flower essence are also wonderful. Star of Bethlehem is a great one for, sadness and different emotions. But there are so many different remedies that you could select. You could even do it without a remedy. Just think of that event in your mind. Think of the event and the shock of it, and then you allow it to leave your body by thinking of a positive event right after. So, just like the magnet that we talked about,
Mhm.
we're going to have that negative event that happened, you falling. It doesn't feel great in the body. So, you acknowledge that feeling. It didn't
Mhm.
feel good. And now I want you to imagine it feeling good. And it's okay if you just have to fake it until you make it. You're going to imagine You are performing in a play, and your job is to let the world know that you loved sliding and slipping and landing in the mud. You loved it. And then the second your body loves it, you're going to flip back to not liking it. And you keep going back and forth until those two emotions come together in one place in your body. And then they release, because you can't hold two conflicting feelings in your body at the same time.
Wow. I'll have to keep going through that, because I just started to imagine in myself, like seeing myself and then laughing about it, like you're down, you start getting undazed.
Yes.
And just like throwing it up and laughing.
Yes. Yeah. So do that. And it's okay. You can do this for anything. This is such a great exercise that anybody can do anywhere. So if I'm having a tough time and I'm feeling it, I'll go in my bathroom and spend 3 minutes loving and hating something. Love, hate, love, hate, love, hate. And then eventually you're going to be able to flip back and forth between those two emotions so much faster. And I always tell people, because some people say, it's really hard for me to love something really crappy, like a cancer diagnosis or a terminal diagnosis. How can I love that? And I remind them, you are winning an award. You're performing. So I want the best performance you can ever give for that award. And that helps people get into that love, hate, love, hate. And then once it's there, you just shoot it out. It doesn't get to live in your body anymore. And then you get to replace that space with whatever you want, with you running and jumping in puddles and telling yourself that you're an amazing rain walker, and that you walk with so much smile and sass, and you wear those pink pants like a boss, because you are. And those puddles see you coming because it feels good. I mean, make it as fun as you want, but see what you want and put it in your body, and then make sure every cell in your body feels that truth and believes it, and then spread it out into the room, the house, the state. Just fill the entire world with the truth of how amazing and cool you are, how phenomenal you are at jumping in puddles and walking, and just own it.
Oh, that is a great, that's a great way to be able to go back. What I find so amazing is that as we were talking, right, that that intuitive download comes through to be able to then go, oh, haven't we all had something like as silly as that may seem now, right, in my 50s, about something that happened, what was I, 12, I think, at that age, and how it has slightly made this imprint, and we don't even realize the imprints of all of these events. And I think that's what's so beautiful, even going back to when we talked about, why we learn so many different modalities that are complementary.
Yes.
So that was, I loved your example of being able to go back through there, using the flower essence. I'm going to go look up, the Star of Bethlehem, right?
Yes.
I wrote it
Look
down.
that up, and look up aconite. Aconite is another great one. It's ACONITE. And that you can get very easily at most health food stores. They have it, Amazon has it, and you can take that. And so what I recommend for people who are going to use one of those remedies is you get the remedy and you want to think of the situation that you're working on. So you imagine that situation in your mind of you slipping and falling. And once you have that image in your mind of that shock, that just embarrassment, all of those feelings, that's when you put the remedy in your mouth. And as that remedy is dissolving, you know that all of that shock is going away with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. I'm going to remember that too when it starts snowing.
Yes.
Because I've never slipped on snow, but probably because I'm been so, careful
Yeah.
because of that experience that I didn't even bring it back together. See,
Mhm.
that's really, really powerful. Being able to flip between the love and the hate and imagine, because I know that the universe doesn't perceive bad or good,
Right.
just perceives our beliefs and our thoughts that we put out there.
Yes. Our
So,
focus, what we
mhm,
focus on.
yeah,
And so even when it snows, when it rains, what you could do is you can applaud yourself. Even if you are still walking cautiously, you can say, man, I walked to my car so well just now. I'm so good at walking in the rain. Tell your body and your brain the truth that you want it to have, because you get to tell it what it gets to hear. And so even if you don't consciously know that you're walking nervously or more mindfully, if it's raining, I would have a post-it note by my boots or in my car that said, I walk through the rain like a rock star, or I'm so good at walking through the rain. Anything that feels good to you, put it somewhere. That way you can remind yourself. When our kids leave for school, it's so easy for kids, to say, "Oh, I forgot this. Oh, I forgot my backpack. Oh, I forgot my lunch." And so when I get to the car, I say, "You didn't forget your lunch. You just remembered it after you were in the car." Right? Because you
yeah,
didn't forget it. You're not at school without a lunch. You're in the car and you still have time to go inside and go get your lunch. So focus on what you did remember. You remembered it just now. Great, go get it. And start training your mind to focus on the things that you do right and that you do well.
that's a fabulous reminder because we all, whether we're in the middle of getting like the little people out, whether they are twice your size already or not, or getting ourselves out at the house or going on a trip, right? Or camping or you're flying somewhere and you get your where and you're like, that's what I forgot. Well, yeah, but look what you didn't forget.
Yeah.
you know, you packed
Yeah.
you went camping with 4 children. That's a
Mhm.
feat.
Yes. Yes. And so in those situations, I just do a praise storm. So I don't like the word never, always. All of those are such not high vibrational words. So when our kids say them, you always do this, I say, oh, is that person always mean? Is that true? Oh, well, no, they're not always mean because one day they did this. Is that the only time they did something nice? Well, no, there was another time they did something nice. Okay, well, then are they always mean? No, they're not always mean. So then that's not a true statement. What else can we say right now that's more true than they're always mean to me? They weren't very kind to me right now. Yeah, that's true. So then what can we do in that situation instead of getting locked in the prison of always, always, never? We
Oh,
can choose more empowering ways to move through things and
mhm.
limitations because they don't get to hold us back. Only we do.
Yes. I have a Post-it that I just moved actually from my desk here when I rearranged myself this last weekend. And it was, I am so open and so excited about all of the possibilities coming to me. And it kind of reminds me of the gratitude, having the gratitude, acknowledging the best in somebody. I was very fortunate to have a nanny, which is my grandmother, my mom's mom. We called her Nanny, and she would always focus. Like you could meet somebody who wasn't probably, like had a lot of redeeming qualities, and she would find something to praise them about.
Mm.
And I remember she lived till she was about 95. And our last visit, my sister and I went to go see her out in Texas. And she's sitting around and she's like, some people have thought that I've been naive. I knew these people had other qualities, but I'm not going to go focus on those qualities. I want them to even realize within themselves how worthy they were,
Yes.
and how she believed in the good of people, even those who were struggling and had done some, some things in life. And
Yeah.
it really reminds me of that, of the walking, getting rid of those always and the negatives of the nevers, and focusing on what we can.
Yes.
Ta- Yeah, talk about a way to raise the vibrations,
Mm, yes.
bring in more light.
Yes, absolutely. That was such a gift that your nanny gave to people because it might have been the only true beauty that they saw of themselves. And so I love to remind people to praise what you want to see
Mm,
because it's very easy for us to grow up in the beliefs that are given to us. So if a child is told that they're naughty, they never listen, they misbehave all the time, they're not smart in school, oh, you never listen, you're just terrible. Their behaviors are going to reflect the truths that they have in their head. So they believe they're always bad. Their identity is always being bad. So that would be an identity crisis if they tried to be good without working on that mindset. But by hearing that they're not always bad, or hey, that was really thoughtful of you when you opened that door for me in the rain so that I could come in. Thank you for doing that. Those little signals start going off in their head because it feels really good. And the more of those signals we can give, the better chance of people have of re-steering that ship so that they don't get stuck in the identity that's not empowering them to be the best person they can be.
yeah. I know when I've gotten into cycles too, where you might have a rough day or a rough couple days, and you get kind of caught up, and sometimes I've had to pause myself and go, who have I talked to? Like, where did I get this vibe going? Why am I not looking at my normal disposition of being sunny, sunshine, like Pollyanna? But I really see it as that's my gift to the world. That's your gift to the world, with, I mean, the impact that you're making with these four beautiful souls who are here, and then the other souls who will meet you again,
Yes.
you know, who were there to help bring you to this path.
Yes, yes, they totally have. And I would say it took me about 9 years to come to the other side of that big loss and to see the absolute gift in it. And I think when I first said that, people were very shocked by me saying I could see the gift in them not surviving. And then I explain to them what the beauty is and what the gift is. And they say, wow, I never would have seen life that way if you didn't share it with me like that. Because there's gifts in everything, even the really hard stuff. I wouldn't have the kids that I have today if they would have lived. And
Mhm.
so it's just there's so many different things that I still see every day, and I just am so thankful because they taught me a lot. They led me to the path where I got to completely break myself down, tear myself apart in my depression, and really build myself up into this beautiful, strong woman that's able to now bloom and create fruit for the whole world to have. And I'm really grateful for that. As hard as it was and as dark as it was such a gift.
Yeah, I love that you can see that, because I can see it just, our talk, the energy, the vibe, like you had, they were here to bring you that purpose of going through that cycle, which, is challenging, definitely not easy, but instead of staying there, they were going to help you through so that you can now have a bigger impact, not only and have these four beautiful children that you do have, and the gifts that you're able to bring in and how you're shaping how they're going to impact the world, this exponential impact into the world. So, oh, I,
Yes.
I feel so blessed that we've had you on here and you sharing this road that you've gone through. And now if somebody's interested in reaching out, you know, I know you're specializing with women, or not women, but with helping others through, when all the emotions I can go through with medical diagnosis. And, so if somebody's interested, they're going through something, how can they find you?
Yes. So people can find me at my website. You can do a connect call with me there to brainstorm with me. I give you recommendations right there when we connect, just some tips and pointers. And if you feel like we'd be a good fit working together, you can continue working with me. I provide nursing services that are nurse advocacy. So I look at lab results from an optimal lab reference range. And I really just help people create the best life that I can help them create so that they can thrive and just enjoy life in
Yeah.
any area of life. I do hypnotherapy. I know we covered a lot of different modalities. So all of my patients I treat independently. So if one modality is more, I guess, would be more beneficial for someone, that's what I would use. And everyone is very customized. So that's on my website, AndreaBlindt.com. It's AndreaBlindt.com. And you can see different modalities that I have there. I do fertility care, immune support, hypnotherapy. And then I have a gifts page, which has a lot of good goodies, workbooks, some handouts. So please, if anyone is interested in that, they're all available. I put a lot of love into them and tried to compile information and nuggets of wisdom that I had and I wish that I'd had on my healing journey, and plopped them all on that page. So anyone who is interested can have those for free right there also.
Oh, that's wonderful. We'll highlight this also. So if you're driving and you weren't able to write down um, her website, we're going to have it in the show notes. And I really hope that those who are listening, who could use the support through a journey with your medical diagnosis. I know working in healthcare myself, during the day, having an advocate who can help you navigate through what they're telling you, because there's such an onslaught of information that you're told, and it's it's overwhelming to be walking through any type of diagnosis. So,
Right. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And to make sure you have a provider that's on your side and that's there for you, because so often my patients will come to me and they feel like they don't have options, that they're doing what they're told to do, but it doesn't feel right for them. So if it doesn't feel right for you, find somebody to talk to your provider and create a plan that does feel right for you, because everything can be adjusted and modified based on what feels good to you. So know that that's available. If you're dealing with limiting beliefs, I have a book coming out at the end of this year in the fall that will be part memoir, part self-help, and that will go into limiting beliefs and really becoming aware of them, and then rewriting them and creating a life that's better for you.
Oh, yeah. You really want people to make the connection that our limiting beliefs manifest in our body. They
Yes.
manifest in our body. And so being able to take that connection with all of your medical education background with the holistic approach, all of the energetic healing modalities, and bringing it all together, super
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, it's such a gift. And I'm always so excited when I see a patient who's struggling with something receive that breakthrough. I had a woman who just had horrible stomach pain for so long. Every time she ate, her stomach ached and ached. And she was sitting in my office and She just was telling me these symptoms. And the more we talked, I said, well, the stomach is related to the energy of despair. So is there an area in your home life that's causing some despair? And she started crying. And she said, nobody's ever asked me that question. Doctors have given me antacids and different medications, and I've done endoscopies and colonoscopies and all of these tests. No one's asked me that. And so once we targeted that despair and we started processing that emotion, her stomach pain completely went away. So it's truly amazing what can happen just by opening the door for someone to see and then release.
Yeah. What a blessing. Oh, thank you so much for being here. And again, we're going to put your website in the show notes. I really hope that the person who is hearing this, who knows that that's you, that you reach out.
Yes, I
So
look forward to connecting. Thank you so much.
thank you so, so much. So, so powerful.
Thank you.